Welcome in to the Rant. I am Pugs Moran. We do it every day, usually around noonish. Today at 1, I'll explain why that is. Every day we gather here and we do talk radio the way I believe it should be done, the way it isn't done anymore, the way it was when I was a kid, way back in the 90s and 80s. Try to do community talk radio, lifestyle driven. It's current events for sure. We talk about whatever it is that everybody else is talking about. I just don't care about, your politics. I just don't care about politics. I don't think that we need to discuss politics. And full disclosure, part of the reason I didn't do a show yesterday is because every single story, every single thing that I could find was all just, about the events of the last 48 hours. We got a new president in this country. A lot of people are spun up. A lot of people are embarrassing themselves on both sides. And quite frankly, the rest of us, the 70%, that's how I break it down. I should explain this to you. I believe that in this country, we've got 15% on the right and 15% on the left that are gone. I believe that those people are they're bought and paid for. They're over the moon, whatever it is. They're gone. They're not coming back. Can't reason with them. We got 70%, the rest of us, 70% of America, normal people. That's who we are. We can do business. We're not nuts, okay? So that's also the thing that has really frightened me over the past couple of years is realizing that 30% of this country is insane. 30% of this country cannot be dealt with. So this is a talk radio show for the rest of us. Here's the criteria. Is another good way to sort of look at it, okay? This is what I like to say. If you have never been arrested in a Walmart or a Target for, throwing a fit because of a display or something, you can listen, okay? But if you have been arrested, if you've been put in handcuffs at Target with your kids there going, Mommy, Mom, if that's something that you've experienced, you're not allowed to listen. Okay, I don't want you. You're one of the 15%. I'm sure which side you're on, but you're one of the 15%. If you have ever been drug off of commercial airline flight, kicking and screaming only to go viral, you can't listen. You're not somebody. You're not a normal person. Normal people, long before it gets to the point where they're being dragged off a commercial airliner, normal people calm the shit down, okay? You didn't. Can't listen. Can't be trusted. And if you're somebody who finds out secondhand that the whole family got together because Jimmy graduated med school and you weren't invited, you're not invited here either. If your family has decided that you don't need to be invited to everything, we don't want you here. But if you fit, if you are somebody who has none of those boxes checked, you're welcome. And we do this every day at noon. Normal people. We got a chat room. Let's say hi to the chat room. Hi, Christina. Hi, Peter. Hi, Barney. Hi, Jeff. Hi, Leslie. Oh, now I got to make it big again because that's all the names that fit on my screen. Anyway, welcome into the chat room, everybody. Who was first? Looks like Nina. Looks like Nina was first in, followed by Peter. Okay, there we go. So yesterday I was just like, man, I don't even want to talk about this stuff yesterday. Oh, and also I told you my football team was going to lose on Monday night. I mean, I knew Notre Dame was going to lose. I'm glad. Look, here's what I said. I tuned out of the national championship game on Monday night at halftime. I think the last thing I tweeted was, yeah, I've been here before. I know how this is going to go. And then I snuck back in the third. And I'm like, wait, we're making a game of it. So ultimately, I did end up watching the whole game. Well, until, that final play that Ohio State made that big 30-yard gain on fourth and whatever. I don't know what it was. Put the game away. No miracles for the Irish, but that's okay. And my son handled it really well. I was worried about that because my kid's 15 years old and he's a football fanatic and he loves his Irish and he loves his horns too. So he handled the horns thing kind of well when the Horns lost to Ohio State. He handled that okay. Because I think in some way he was like, okay, I got my Irish in reserve. Now my Irish are going to go beat them and I'm going to feel better. So I was concerned how my 15-year-old son was taking it. And quite frankly, he's turning into a mature young man. He handled it fine. He's like, what are you going to do? I go, it's why we root. It's why there's always another season. It's why I say this, man. Watching your team win the championship in their league. Watching your team do that is so rare, man. It really is. I mean, for most of us, okay? Some people live in Boston. All those people with all their titles, they're lousy with titles. Celtics, Red Sox, Patriots. We could go 200 years now in this country without Boston winning a title, and I think the rest of us would be fine with that. But for most of us, you don't get to see your teams win. That's why when they do win, you see grown-ass men, 70-year-old men crying. You know, you see that stuff, and you're like, what? And maybe you see that when you're 15 because you were lucky. Maybe your team won when you were 15. Like the last time my Bears won a Super Bowl. Maybe that, and you looked at the old folks, and they're like crying. You're like, what are these guys about? I get it now. Get it now. And I believe that our Irish will be back. They're building a great program. It's a whole new day there. So wonderful, wonderful. Marcus Freeman's got to stay. And we'll build. Okay, so that's not the reason we didn't do the show yesterday. We didn't do the show yesterday simply because it was it was a bummer. It was not a bummer news day. It was a divisive news day. And I didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to get into it. I don't want people. Twitter was gross yesterday. Lefties and righties going at it with each other. Stop it. Just stop it. Just be cool, man. Just be cool. Nobody cares. Well, actually, apparently they care. We don't care, and that's the point. Now, why was the show late today? You're wondering, Pugs, why was today's show late? Today's show was late simply because my Bears hired a new head coach, and the press conference was at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted to watch the press conference. Ben Johnson is now officially the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Also, breaking news, Aaron Glenn has been named the head coach of the New York Jets. Cowboys? Oh, boy. I don't know what the Cowboys are doing. Hey, the next best guy available, not for nothing, Cowboys. The next best guy available was Mike McCarthy. Just saying. So you're going to skip over him. That Cowboys, what? They're going to go with this Brian Schottenheimer guy? Okay, whatever. Jerry wants a guy that he can keep 5 years too long, who will probably be the coach on the day Jerry passes away. That's what you'll get. Maybe it'll be great. I don't know. I don't know anything. All I know, and let me tell you this, I was going to save this for later because I got a whole thing on the coaches that we'll get into when we do sports later. But I'll say this. As a Chicago Bear fan, you've heard me talk about who I want to be coach, whether you follow me on any of the socials or you just watch here from time to time because I'm obsessed with it. And sometimes I just say, I want Pete Carroll. I wanted Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll was who I wanted to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. But if I'm being honest with you, and I try to be that here, it was only because I thought there was no way Ben Johnson was going to come to the cluster F of a city that is the Chicago Bears team that is the Chicago Bears. I thought honestly, I'm so used to the McCaskey family, the Hallis McCaskey family, the owners of the Bears. I'm so used to them lowballing people and just creeping people out. Like whenever they have interview, whenever the prospective coaches meet that family, it's like something out of what was that movie, Da Vinci Code? It's like, it's like always held in a 300-year-old Catholic church. And then Virginia's there on a throne. She's George Hallis's daughter. So I thought there's no way as hot a commodity as a Ben Johnson is going to come to the Bears. But we were wrong. He was going to the Bears last year. If the Bears had fired Eberflus and offered him the job last year, he was taking it last year. It's good to have him. There you go. He chose us. That's why. That's why as a Chicago Bear fan, we're like, oh, this is crazy. The prettiest girl at the dance. We're ugly. We're rich and ugly. That's what the Bears are. The Bears are rich in history and legacy, but that's all they got. We're ugly. We're not sexy. We don't have a couple of titles in the last couple of decades. No, we got nothing. We're not sexy. We're ugly. We're inbred. We're welcome to the NFL. That's who the Chicago Bears are. So I thought there's no way some guy like Ben Johnson. I'm like, the Cowboys are going to get Ben Johnson. He's going to be dazzled by the star and all. But no, that wasn't the case. He wanted to come here the whole time. Apparently, Ben Johnson is a football nerd, and he wanted to stay in the division, and that's pretty cool. All right, so there you go. That's why today's show was late. I wanted to watch the press conference. I apologize. Also, it's freezing in here. I'm out of uniform again. Let's be honest. There is no uniform anymore. I've decided I'm not going to just wear the same thing every day on camera. But it's freezing in here. It's another reason why I was like, maybe not do a show tomorrow or yesterday. It's freezing. For some reason, it's like 45 degrees in here. So I'm doing the show in a sweater and a coat. All right. Hi, April. April's here. Say hi to the new people in the chat. All right. Let's see. Should we get started? Let's get started. Welcome to the Rant. I am Pugs Moran. These are the beautiful Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the E Gallery in Dallas's Design District. We are a proud commodity of the RadioMisfits.com network. Radio Misfits. We're going to do the show in 4 quarters for you. We tell you this. It's 4 distinct segments. The first one, antecedently on this day. It's a quick look at some of the events that have helped shape the history of this day. Cool little things that happened on this day that we talk about. Quarter 2 is birthdays. You know what that is. Celebrities, notable quotables. We riff on them for a bit. Quarter 3, deads. People who died. We look at their lives, their contribution, and then we decide where'd they go. Did they go to heaven or they go to hell? Quarter 4 is where we talk about hot topics and lifestyle issues and all of those kinds of things. And so we'll get to that. All right, let's get started. It is January 22nd. Is that even how you say it? 22nd. Year of our Lord 2025. There are 22 days already gone from the year. That means 343 remain. So get those New Year's Eve plans started. Let's get started. Quarter 1, we call it antecedently on this day. It's a look back at the day in history. You've heard it before. It's not reinventing the wheel here. Antecedently on this day. All right, let's talk about what happened on this day. Antecedently on this day in the year 1808, the Portuguese royal family arrives in Brazil after fleeing the French. Do you ever wonder about that? Like if, the only thing I know about Brazil is MMA, right? Until the UFC, I had no thoughts on Brazil. It was down there, I don't even know. Now I know quite a bit about Brazil. One of the things that I know about Brazil is that they don't speak Spanish. Don't you just think that everybody down there speaks Spanish? Like South America, like once you cross San Diego into Tijuana, the whole world speaks Spanish? No. They speak Portuguese down there in Brazil. And it's because of what happened on this day. Brazil was apparently the Portuguese. This is how long ago this was. The Portuguese were ballers. Portuguese had an empire. They had colonies. They were getting in on the whole, European colony thing. Brazil was one of their colonies. And when Napoleon rose to power in France, he said, Portugal is mine. So on this day, or not on this day, but in November, the royal family, they fled. The royal family, the court and everything, they fled from Lisbon, Portugal to Brazil and arrived on this day in 1808. Antecedently on this day in 1970, America enters World War I. It was on this 1917. Antecedently on this date, in 1927, Teddy Wakelam. I'm going to do this right. Hold on. 1927 on this day, Teddy Wakelam. All right, we're going to call him Teddy Wakelam. On this day in 1927, Teddy Wakelam gives the first live radio commentary on a football match between Arsenal FC and Sheffield. Ladies and gentlemen, on this day, sports radio was born. Or maybe even more specifically, the sports pundit was born on this day in 1927, Teddy Wakelam. On this day, antecedently in the year 1946, the creation of the CIA. Ooh, spooky. The agency created on this day in 1946, originally called the Central Intelligence Group. On this day in 1947, KTLA, the first commercial television station west of the Mississippi River, begins operation in Hollywood, California. I wouldn't normally mention this other than the fact that over the past couple of weeks, I've been watching a lot of KTLA. Their coverage of the wildfires has been tremendous. KTLA, born on this day in 1947. Born on this day in 1957, the New York City Mad Bomber. 1957, do you guys know about this? There's never been a movie made about this dude. This is like, people will tell you some dude goes around bombing stuff in 2025. Hear a bunch of pearl clutchers going, it's the end of times. We never had anything about. When we think of the 1950s, the good old days, we don't much think about old George Mataski. What's his name? George. We don't think much about George Mataski, the Mad Bomber of New York City. Yeah. New York City, the mad bomber George Mataski is arrested in Connecticut and charged with planting more than 30 bombs. This dude went around, 30 bombs. Anybody die? Hold on. I need to see. Let's see. Did he kill anybody? Because maybe that's, look, if nobody died, if he was just blowing up like, dumpsters and stuff, that's like what teenagers do. So maybe. George Peter Mataski, better known as the Mad Bomber, was an American electrician and mechanic who terrorized New York City for 16 years in the 1940s and 50s with explosives that he planted in theaters, terminals, libraries, and offices. Okay, this is starting to seem like something we should have at least a movie about. Let's see here. He planted them in theaters, terminals, libraries, and offices. So he was looking to kill people. Bombs were left in phone booths, storage lockers, and restrooms. Grand Central Terminal, Penn Station, Radio City. Did he kill anybody? Angry and resentful about events surrounding a workplace injury that he suffered years earlier, Mataski planted at least 33 bombs, of which 22 exploded, injuring 15 people. All right. Maybe, he didn't have, well, I don't know. Why was the sound effect for applause going there? I have no idea. Whatever. Moving on. Maybe it's not a great movie. I hate to be so cold, but Hollywood loves a body count, and it doesn't seem like there's much of one there. Antecedently on this day in 1973, the Supreme Court of the United States delivers its decision in Roe versus Wade. On this day. Settled law, they said. Settled law. Antecedently on this day in the year 1984, Apple's Macintosh debuts in a Super Bowl commercial. Remember that? The big George Orwell Apple commercial was supposed to be, it's certainly one of the most important commercials ever made, at least in advertising circles. On this day, we saw it, 1984 during the Super Bowl. Who played in that Super Bowl? I got no idea. Let's see who played in that Super Bowl. Well, the Los Angeles Raiders defeated the Washington Redskins by a score of 38-9. 38-9. Who was the quarterback? Was that Plunkett? Is this a Plunkett year? Jim Plunkett. Jim Plunkett is in the Lamar Jackson category of like quarterbacks. What is that category, you're wondering? You're like, what in the world does Jim Plunkett have to do with Lamar Jackson? They're both ugly quarterbacks. And that is so rare. Most quarterbacks are very handsome. Most quarterbacks are, Jim Plunkett was not handsome. Jim Plunkett had a weird, like Steve Buscemi face kind of a deal. And Lamar Jackson is not handsome either. You know who's handsome? Caleb Williams. Caleb is handsome. Dak is handsome. Dak's a handsome man. Caleb's handsome. Tom Brady's handsome. They're all handsome. Even the quarterbacks who suck. Have you ever seen, you could do like a sexy calendar with just second and third string scrub quarterbacks. They're all handsome. Dan Orlovsky, who sucked, is handsome. Yeah, anyway, there you go. That was the Super Bowl. It was the Apple computer. See what happens? This is what happens with the stream of consciousness. You just start talking. All of a sudden, I'm doing a riff on ugly quarterbacks for 5 minutes. Here we go. 1984, the Apple commercial aired for the first time. Antecedently on this date, no, that's going to do it. We don't care. Nothing else of any significance has occurred in this world since 1984. Let's do birthdays. They claim it's their birthday. I don't know for sure. You'd have to ask their moms and check county clerk records and all that. But no, I'm not doing that. These are published reports of birthdays. Here we go. Born on this day, and it's my job to remind you, because we do this. I hate that we do this. I have my list of Hollywood frauds. This guy isn't a Hollywood fraud. There's so much as, why do we just never mention? Ladies and gentlemen, born on this day, one of the most beloved soul singers of all time, Sam Cooke. Said, darling, you send me. Darling, you do. Sam Cooke. People love Sam Cooke. Every now and again, like there'll be like a tribute and be like, oh, the wonderful Sam Cooke. Oh. Sam Cooke died in the midst of kidnapping and raping a woman in a hotel room, and he died when he tried to beat the snot out of the female desk clerk who was running the hotel that day. He died because he tried to beat her up because she was going to call the cops because, remember, he had kidnapped and raped somebody, so he was beating her up. She pulled a gun and killed Sam Cooke. But, man, could he sing. Darling, nobody mentions that. And you will see Hollywood, like whether it's the Grammys or whatever, you always see people like, venerate Sam Cooke. I'm like, what? It's not as bad as Anthony Anderson. I don't get the Anthony Anderson thing. I don't get that. Look into that guy's history, and he's like Mr. Mainstream Disney approved Hollywood guy. If you've got a family-friendly award show, get Anthony Anderson out there. I don't understand it. Look, all I'm saying is just read his Wikipedia page and be like, huh? So there's no blowback on this guy for any of this stuff. Anyway, same can be said for Sam Cooke. I just don't get it. Born on this day in 1931. The man could sing, though. Got to give him that. Born on this day in 1946. Here's another fraud, but he's not one of ours, so I'm going to call this one of the great British frauds. Born on this day in 1946, Malcolm McLaren, ladies and gentlemen. Malcolm McLaren. Malcolm McLaren was one of the most unlikable individuals in the history of global pop culture. His whole brand was, I'm going to make you hate me within the first 3 seconds of meeting you. If it means I spit in your face as you approach me, then that's what I'll do, because I am Malcolm McLaren. Who was Malcolm McLaren? Malcolm McLaren and his girlfriend, Vivienne Westwood, opened up a store, a clothing boutique in London called Sex in the mid-1970s. Sex was an S&M store in London in the 1970s, leather, daddy stuff, and, all that kind of stuff. It became popular with young punks, punk rockers, people who were the punk craze in England, the industrial economy's failure of monarchical England was coming to root on the streets in the form of these punks who didn't care, and they were nihilistic, and, all tear it all down, burn it all. Malcolm McLaren noticed that all these punks were hanging out at his store, so he went, I should make them into a rock band. So he created the Sex Pistols. Before the Sex Pistols, somebody, I don't know that it was David Johansen, but one of the New York Dolls had visited the store Sex in London and had made a big impression on Vivienne Westwood. And so Malcolm McLaren had originally decided that he was going to manage and market the Dolls, the New York Dolls. But then the Sex Pistols came around. He put them together just based on guys who were Johnny Bravos, guys who looked like they fit what he wanted from them. He would go on Adam and the Ants, I think Susie and the Banshees. He became very important in, that world, the punk world. But he's a fraud because he actually did the real leaders of punk. In my opinion, there are two bands. One is from America and one is from England, and that is the Ramones. I'll also give a little credit to the New York Dolls. But for the sake of calling Malcolm McLaren a fraud, that doesn't work because he was kind of their manager. So I'm going to go with the Ramones and the Clash, okay? They are like the two legit. They're the ones. Never mind. You don't want to hear this. Nobody. Pugs, go do music radio if you want to lecture about what a fraud Malcolm McLaren is. Anyway, he's a terrible human being. He's dead now, but anyway, he was bad. Born on this day in 1946. Born on this day in 1949. How about Steve Perry? She said, oh, that guy could sing. That guy, Steve Perry, Journey. Faithfully, wah, wah, wah. Boy, I'll tell you, Steve Perry, based upon what I witnessed, 1983, Steve Perry could have dated any 13-year-old girl in America. Don't know if he was interested in that, probably wanted their moms. But in 1983, every 13-year-old girl in America was like Journey or Faithfully or whatever. Born on this day in 1949, Steve Perry. I like him. He seems all right. I don't want to see Journey with dudes who just sound like him. I'll tell you this much. I would go see Steve Perry doing Journey songs before I'll go see Journey without Steve Perry. That's me. Born on this day in 1949, Steve Perry. Born on this day in 1959, Linda Blair. Reagan from The Exorcist. Why couldn't I think of The Exorcist? Head spun around. Child actress, really got screwed up bad. But she was one of the child stars that like got into drugs and pills like when she was 15 because there were no rules in the mid 1970s. If you were 15 and earning an income, you know, you were closing down Studio 54 on a Tuesday night at 15. Linda Blair running around. Her life got screwed up. She never really became an adult actress. Oh, well, I don't mean adult. You know what I mean? A grown-up actress in real grown-up roles. I guess she did some Scream Queen stuff in the 80s. I don't know. Whatever happened to Linda Blair? No idea. Anyway, born on this day in 1959. Here's someone we don't have to ask. Whatever happened to Michael Hutchence? Born on this day. Oh, God. No. Michael Hutchence. First of all, this is a wild one. Michael Hutchence, lead singer in the band INXS. There was a period of time, early, mid-'80s into the mid-'90s, where Michael Hutchence was like the rock god of rock gods. He was sexy. He was talented. His band was legit, both critically acclaimed and with, you know, money-making hits. INXS was a really, really great band. And he had this reputation of just being so cool. That dude's cool, man. Who's the coolest rock star in 1991? I don't know. Michael Hutchence is pretty cool. The dude died in the most uncool way possible. Taught the whole world about autoerotic asphyxiation, a subject we'd revisit when, is it David or Keith Carradine died that way? I don't know. One of the Carradines died. But Michael Hutchence, he was the first big one. God, how does that happen? First of all, why does a guy who looks like Michael Hutchence even need to self-pleasure? I do not get that, and I never will. Tragic. Look, not that he's dead. He was a rock star. He had a great life. Tragic that a guy who up until the very last breath, literally, was considered super cool, and then it all went away. And it was like, yeah, he died wanking it. So sad. Born on this day, Michael Hutchence. Born on this day in 1965. Here's another guy that I bet's got an axe to grind. I bet he's really nice in public. Like, I bet he's nice if you were to interview him, he'd be really nice. But I bet if you got him drunk, you know, like around his table at home, like he's got a wife. Did you pay the mortgage? You know, why we have Will Smith pay the mortgage? You know, something like that. Because today is DJ Jazzy Jeff's birthday. Yeah. Sad. The Kyle Gass of early 90s hip-hop. Kyle Gass I mentioned because, you know, Tenacious D was Jack Black and Kyle Gass. And Jack Black became super famous and the whole world forgot about Kyle Gass. That's kind of DJ Jazzy Jeff. It was the Fresh Prince and DJ Jazzy Jeff. That was the twosome. There's Will Smith. Will Smith is kind of going on to be an iconic Hollywood star, Oscar-winning actor, slapped Chris Rock on TV. That'll never go away. He's always going to be famous for that. And as I say, DJ Jazzy Jeff is celebrating a birthday today. That's all we can say. Born on this day in 1965. One of my early favorites. And we're going to take a minute here because I'm going to talk a little bit to my Gen X friends because there are certain things from my life as a Gen X kid growing up in the 1980s that I remember, but I'm not sure they really happened. And I have to do a little research. And I'd say every 10 years or so, I do a little research on this movie I'm going to tell you about because it's the star's birthday. But every 10 years or so, I do a little bit of a deep dive on this film again, just to remind myself of how unbelievably awesome and weird it was. Haven't shown this film to my 15-year-old son yet. I think I should because technically when it was released, I would have seen it at around his age. And I loved this movie. Nobody else did. I remember all my other friends being like, I don't get it. But I remember one, being totally smitten by the star. And two, just thinking, I don't know what's going on here in this movie. This movie is awesome. The star is celebrating a birthday today. The lovely will always have my heart. Born on this day in 1965. Something about this woman, Diane Lane. Oh my God, Diane Lane. The movie, Streets of Fire. Woo! You guys ever seen Streets of Fire? The only thing people remember from Streets of Fire is like the hit song that came from it. And that's not even a song people remember. Remember that song, Dan Hartman? I can dream about you. Anyway, that was one of the songs from the movie. First of all, Diane Lane. Let's give her credit. Let's show you Diane Lane. Forgot what character did she play? I don't know what character she played in the movie. But let's check her out. I'll show you how Diane Lane won my heart. Here we go. Born on this day in 1965. Here she is from Streets of Fire, Diane Lane. She played a rock star. Look at her. All right, so I guess I got to tell you about what Streets of Fire was, because, even I have like I said, I have to reinvestigate every 10 years to go, wait, was it really about that? Streets of Fire was Joel Silver. Joel Silver would go on to be a very important filmmaker in the 1990s. This is one of the movies that he made early in his career that Hollywood went, wow, that guy's kind of out there. It's set in, I believe the phrase they use, a different time, a different place. So if you're trying to figure out what universe this exists in, it's a different time, a different place. All of the cars and the fashion and the music and culture seems to be taken straight from 1955. But it also seems to take place in the future because there's like flying drone cars and stuff like that. So it is a very strange thing. It is the story of an industrial town. And there's a chick group in this town. Diane Lane, was something in the Assassins, I think was the name of the band. And they're like super popular in this town. And she used to have a boyfriend, Michael Parry. He's a soldier. We don't know what war. We don't know what this is. Is he like an actual government soldier, or is he like a soldier for hire? We don't know, but he's off. He's off doing soldier stuff. She's having her career. And apparently there's a biker gang in this town. Biker gang. Yeah, just like Marlon Brando and the Wild Bunch. See, more like 1950s stuff. And the biker gang is led by Willem Dafoe. Willem Dafoe is awesome. And Willem Dafoe kidnaps her. That's Diane Lane. I don't know why. I've seen the movie now like 5 times. I have no idea why he kidnapped her, other than he just wanted to like rape her. Is that what this is? They don't say that in the movie, but there's more Diane Lane. So William Dafoe and the biker gang basically kidnaps the lead singer of the band. Then the town is like, what happened to our band? They're all mad. So they reach out to her ex-boyfriend, Michael Parry, the soldier, and he comes back to town, and oh my God, that's where the plot. Look at her. There she is. You can't kidnap me. You're damn right that's Rick Moranis. You're damn right. Rick Moranis is in Streets of Fire. Oh, it's littered with cool characters. There she is. Now that I'm looking at her, I don't know why I was so kind of into her back to, okay, that I get it. A little bit of Lisa Marie Presley, huh? That's what I would say. Anyway, there she is. There she is. You were my boyfriend and now you're a soldier. And he's like, you were kidnapped and I came back and saved you. I don't know if that's the exact dialogue, but that's kind of where you get there. Look at him. Look at him. We're back together again. Yeah. All right, there it is. Tonight is what wait, here's the slogan. Streets of Fire. Tonight is what it means to be young. I was young then. I was 13. Streets of Fire, a rock and roll fable. All right, there you go. It is Diane Lane's birthday, and she's awesome. I'm always gonna love her. Big crush. Peter says we should have a watch party at the E-Gallery of this movie. We really should. We really should. We need to re-embrace Streets of Fire for the incredibly crazy. It's fun. It's fun, but just don't. It makes no sense. Look, it makes sense when you buy in to a different time, a different place. Just buy into that. Then it all makes sense. All right, Diane Lane, the beautiful, the wonderful Diane Lane, born on this day in 1965. Happy birthday, born on this day in 2002, to Caitlin Clark. She plays basketball for a team in Indiana, the Fever, I believe. Born on this day, 2002, Caitlin Clark. All right, let's move on. Quarter 3, let's do the dead people. These are folks who have passed away on this day. We decide whether or not they went to heaven or to hell. Dead on this day in 1901. I'm going to preemptively put her in hell because, I believe I've made a rule that, monarchs and kings and all that, if your entire life, if your entire experience as a human being is being Queen Victoria, who died on this day in 1901, I'm sorry. I do not want to live in a timeline where a queen is rewarded eternal happiness in the kingdom of heaven. There's got to be something that I don't buy it. So we're putting her in hell. But with that said, Queen Victoria, talk about a baller. Until Queen Elizabeth II, the one we just lost a couple of years ago, she was the longest reigning monarch in the history of the British Empire. She's Queen of India, or Empress of India. I think that's what she was. She oversaw the largest expansion of the British Empire's history. She was like, Queen, basically, I rule the world. That's who she was. What does it say here? A little fun fact about Queen Victoria, who's definitely going to hell. She's going to hell. Queen Victoria was the Queen of the United Kingdom and the Empress of India. She had 9 children who married with royal families throughout Europe. At the outbreak of the First World War, her grandchildren occupied the thrones of both Germany and the United Kingdom. World War II, her grandkids were fighting. That's how influential this world was. This woman. And she couldn't keep her grandkids from going to war with each other. The whole reason that everybody in Europe is a cousin was so that, you wouldn't have these wars. But it didn't work. Anyway, she's in hell. Queen Victoria, dead on this day in 1901. Dead on this day in 1950. Really quick, I just want to mention this because it's the way it's supposed to be done. Dead on this day in 1950, Alan Hale Sr. Alan Hale Sr. Alan Hale, who died on this day, Sr., who died on this day in 1950, used to just be Alan Hale. See, he was Alan Hale when he was a famous actor in silent films in the 20s and 30s. But then he had a child, and he named his child Alan Hale. So now the actor Alan Hale has a kid. But it wasn't at this point that Alan Hale started to affix the honorific senior to the end of his name. No, because there was no reason for it, because nobody was ever going to confuse the 6-month-old baby Alan Hale with the silent film star Alan Hale. Now, when that baby grew up with the name Alan Hale and also became an actor, Skipper from Gilligan's Island, he had to add the Alan Hale Jr. Do you see? The son had to do it because his dad was already there and people were like, oh, Alan Hale is in Gilligan's Island. Isn't he like 90? No, it's his kid, right? So, it's Junior. So that's why. So congratulations to Alan Hale Sr. and Alan Hale Jr., Put them in a category with the Ripkins, who know how to do it. Not like these, again, see a 22-year-old defensive end who doesn't even have a kid yet, but he's out there. He's going to name his kid. He's going to name his son after him. He's going to make his son a junior. So they're running around with seniors. Have you seen this? Montez Davidson Sr. I'm like, dude, you're 22 years old. You don't even have kids. Why are you a senior? That doesn't make sense. It's just, this is what I rant about. Little by little, we are lowering the expectations, dumber and dumber. It's idiocracy. It's how we get to idiocracy. But I'll be okay. All right, let's keep going. Alan Hale Sr. Put him in heaven. Why? Because he could do the honorific thing properly. Dead on this day in 1973. Also got to go to hell because he's a president, right? Politicians go to hell. But if I'm being honest, of the presidents that I'm kind of familiar with because they existed, not in my lifetime, this one, but, around my lifetime, he's one of my favorites. he's one of my favorites. I mean, I got to put him in hell, but Lyndon Baines Johnson is one of my favorites. Not because of politics, because again, I don't do the whole politics thing, but did you ever hear the audio tapes of him getting a suit tailored? Apparently they recorded it. Apparently he's in the Oval Office or something, and he's in there and he's with the dude, and the tailor is doing his inseam. It's hysterical. The way Lyndon Johnson talks about his nuts and his balls, it's hysterical. But aside from the fact that it's funny, and that's so out of character, you're not used to hearing him. That's how normal people talk. That's not how a president talks, but that's why it's so interesting, because it's oh my God, Lyndon Baines Johnson's actually just a dude, and he's kind of cool. He's not I'm the president and you're my tailor. No, he really seemed to like the tailor, they were hanging out. It was cool. Anyway, you still got to go to hell because you're a politician, and I ain't playing that game. All politicians go to hell. Dead on this day in 1987. When he went to hell, this guy had to go to hell. Right? I mean, I was raised Catholic. I'm a lapsed Catholic. I'm culturally Catholic. But in my religion, the way I was raised, if you kill yourself, you go to hell. And R. Bud Dwyer, on this day in 1987, killed himself. Why is this of note? R. Bud Dwyer was the 30th treasurer of the state of Pennsylvania. He was involved in a scandal. Well, I guess he had embezzled some money, and he was resigning as the treasurer of the state of Pennsylvania. And he got up in front of the assembled press, and he opened his briefcase. He pulled out a gun, and he killed himself on live TV. The song "Hey Man, Nice Shot," right? Yeah, that's about our Bud Dwyer. So, just gonna put him in hell, and I'm gonna back away. It's a very dark story. Dead on this day in 1994. Here's not a dark story. Here's one of them dudes, Telly Savalas. Did you know there was a period of time in Hollywood where only two men were allowed to have shaven heads? Yul Brynner and Telly Savalas. That's it. They made an exception for the cartoon character Mr. Clean, but that was only because they argued that it's based on Yul Brynner. So, yeah, no, if you shaved your head like in like 1970, like if you were walking around with a shaved head, you were a freak. Nobody did it. Two dudes were allowed to do it. Yul Brynner, Telly Savalas. Telly Savalas died on this year in 1994. As a man who walks around today with a shaved head, who isn't treated as a freak, I appreciate the efforts to normalize the look. Telly Savalas goes to heaven. I guess. Thank you, sir. Godspeed, Chrome Dome. Born on this, or dead on this day. Dead on this day in 2008. Heath Ledger. Do you remember this? I remember. We were. And I checked the timelines today. I was reading these stories about his death and all that kind of stuff. And it matches up. We were the old show that I used to do with my partner Kelly Moore at Live 105.3. We were wrapping up the show, and the end of the show was always Sybil doing news, and she was doing her entertainment news at the end of it. And we got a note from somebody, I guess it was on the TV, or that Heath Ledger died. And I just remember it coming at the end of the show. And now in 2025, this was in 2008. So now in 2025, I got to be honest with you, Heath Ledger isn't really remembered. My 15-year-old son has no clue who Heath Ledger is. Other than you go, the guy, that Batman Joker. He's, oh, that one. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was a popular one, right? And I'm like, dude, all the Jokers are popular. Okay? Stop it. Stop it with he's the best Joker of all time. Nobody has ever played the Joker and not been hailed as the greatest Joker of all time. Sorry, I don't care what you think about Jack Nicholson. That dude almost won an Oscar for playing the Joker originally. Everybody who plays the Joker does it amazing. I don't know. He's reinvented the Joker. So Heath Ledger got a lot of that. I think Heath Ledger was the coolest looking Joker. I'll give him that one. The darkest. It appeals to my like darker kind of vibe thing that I liked for the Joker. Good actor, right? But forgotten. Pretty much forgotten. Yeah, there you go. All right, I don't know what to say about Heath Ledger, other than he died of an overdose of all kinds of prescription drugs. He was not feeling well. He was sick, and he also liked to get high. So, that's a deadly combination. Stupid decisions, that's it's been, it's been the great equalizer of Hollywood, I guess. Stupid decisions. These, otherwise we'd have too many celebrities, but we got to thin the herd every once in a while. Every once in a while, someone like Paul Walker has to decide to drive a car 150 miles an hour down a neighborhood street. And, every now and again, Heath Ledger is going to be like, I want to get higher. And, that's going to happen. Belushi, we got to thin the herd. I guess that's what it is. Bad decisions by celebrities. All right, Heath Ledger, dead on this day in 2008, dead on this day in 2012. He's going to hell for a number of reasons, but he's a great example for one of the hard and fast rules that I have. I told you about a couple of them when we do this segment. Certain people automatically go to hell. Politicians go to hell. Monarchs, if you were a king or whatever, you go to hell. Of course, we know I put actresses almost instantly in hell. All actresses are nuts. Trust me, I went to a college that was a big school for actresses. I dated a lot of actresses. I've known a lot of these theater people type actresses. They are all freaking nightmares. Actresses, they all go to hell. Unless, you're Audrey Hepburn. And unless there's some case to be made that you absolutely shouldn't go to hell. So actresses go to hell. And football coaches, right? I say football coaches, especially if you were a college football coach in the 1970s or 80s. You are absolutely going to hell because you are some of the most immoral, horrible people that the world has ever known. Football coaches. Well, I need you to know that when I talk about that football coach, I'm picturing this guy. This is the guy. This is the guy that when I think all football coaches need to go to hell, this is who I'm thinking of. Dead on this day in 2012, and hopefully, if I have any say in it, went straight to hell. Oh, the great one, Joe Paterno, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Paterno of Penn State. Always hated Joe Paterno. I always thought he was dirt. I always thought he was cheap. I always thought that he was like a fraud. Penn State. I remember being a kid. I remember this is like in the 80s or whatever. And they're like, the vaunted history of Penn State. And I'm like, when the hell was Penn State ever dominant? When was Penn State ever Alabama? I'm tired of you people talking about Penn State. Keith Jackson going on an October Saturday afternoon about, look at him. Joe Paterno, the granddaddy of coaches. Nobody's more moral. I would send my kid to coach by Joe Paterno. Shut up. Because we know what Joe Paterno was now. Joe Paterno was a guy whose best friend was a serial child molester. And Joe Paterno had every inclination that that's what was going on. But he didn't say a damn thing. You know why? Because Joe Paterno was involved in all kinds of shady business for a whole lot of his career. And guess who was right there with him? Jerry Sandusky. So Joe Paterno made a decision, an executive decision. A highly immoral one, but that was to just turn the other cheek, ignore it all. Jerry Sandusky's not routinely in a serialized manner molesting children at his football camps, molesting children here in the showers of my team. Joe Paterno knew this, but Joe Paterno was like, what can I do? He knows too much about me. Or was it even worse? What does he have such a twisted sense of self that Joe Paterno was like, hey, he's always been loyal to me. Forget about them kids. I'm sure that's not the worst thing that can happen to you. I grew up in the Depression. I'm Joe Paterno. Hate this guy. Put him in prison. Then banish him to hell. Joe Paterno, dead on this day in 2012. Dead on this day in 2021. Let's end it with a good note. This is a good man. This was a really good man. The stuff that he did, that people don't know about, the way he carried himself. Hank Aaron, dead on this day in 2021. Henry Aaron, the one-time home run leader. Isn't he? Yeah, he's not. Somebody broke his, right? Who broke it? Somebody? I don't know. I should know this. I'm a baseball guy. I don't know. Records. I don't really know much about records. Anyway, Hank Aaron, dead on this day in 2021. We're going to put him in heaven. He was quite a man. There you go. That's going to do it, folks. A 1, a 2, a 1, 2, 3, and dead people are done. The birthdays are done. And antecedently on this day. It's time now that we remind you this is non-political lifestyle talk every day at noon, 12 p.m. I am Pugs Moran. We do it here from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios. It's time now for the fourth quarter where we get into all of the things that people are talking about today. And by all the things that people, I mean me, these are like the things that interest me. But first, I need to remind you that this show does run on your gratuities. 3 years we've been doing this show. If you feel you want to support this kind of talk radio and see that it continues, please drop a little something in the Venmo. Drop a little something in the Cash App. If you listen every day, it's on in the background and you appreciate the effort, you can thank me anytime you want. I'll leave that up right there, the Cash App, the Venmo. Drop it right in there. It's the only way we make money. We don't do commercials. We don't have advertising. We just have us every day, Monday through Friday for the last 3 years. So help out if you can. You're the best. The big tipper of each day. This is the other thing that needs to be mentioned. We'll start doing this again now. We're at that stage in the month. Big tipper. They're going to receive the title of executive producer. So if you tip today more than anyone else, like let's say someone tips 5 and you tip 10, you get to be the executive producer. Tomorrow. That's tomorrow. Not now, but tomorrow. It's like I'll look at it and I'll be like, oh, look at that. Thank you. It's a little something we do. All right, let's get started here. So a whole bunch of stuff is going on. We're going to talk about this crazy weather system that just missed us here in North Texas, but seems to be brutalizing everybody to the south. We're not going to talk about any of what's going on in Washington. We're not going to talk about any. I don't care about that stuff. I mean, I do care about that stuff, but I don't care to share. How's that? How about, we just stop feeling the need to share everything. So we're not gonna talk about any of that. They're the names of the people. I don't like to mention the names of the he, they, who shall not be named. We're not gonna mention any of those names, but I do want to talk about something that happened to me. Now, that I love my Kroger. I'm not even gonna tell you people what my Kroger is. I don't want you to know. I don't want people to know my Kroger. I have figured out my Kroger. Oh, I know where the secret discount aisle is. Row 20. Aisle 20. Aisle 20 is where they just park. Aisle 20 is where you can get a can of chunky soup for like 35 cents. It's normally like $1.79. You can get it for like 35 cents because there's a dent in it. That's fine. Fine by me. Anyway, I know that my Kroger's got that. It's got a bunch of like really cool. I know where they keep the clearance meat. That's important. You got to buy that clearance meat. Go right in the freezer. Right in the freezer. I don't know why Kroger was throwing it out, but it's going to sit in my freezer for the next year. I'm sure those meatballs will be fine. Anyway, I love my Kroger. So I also love my self-checkout. I know that this is a very provocative statement for me to make. A lot of people don't like self-checkout. I happen to prefer self-checkout. It's not that I don't want to have an interaction with these people, but quite frankly, most of the interactions I have with people in line at the grocery store have been less than overwhelming. They've all been pretty disappointing. Most of those people are not going to, they don't get my jokes. Like I'll make a joke and they'll just look at me. Huh? So I like the robot checkout and I'm good at it too. And I know this is a thing inside the world of people who, do the checkouts for themselves. There's those of us who know what we're doing. And then there's you people who just slow the line down because you're doing it for like the first time and you're trying to get good at it. Get good at it or get out of line. Because those of us who go shopping every day, because we buy those discounts every day, those of us, we need to be in and out. We don't need this. So here's the deal. I'm at the robot checkout. Now, sometimes when you get the discount stuff, it does, it doesn't make any noise, but I'm just trying to be animated here. So nothing. So then you get the gun and you're like, and you're scanning with nothing, right? So then you got to go, oh, Daddy needs help, right? Because I know I'm holding up the line. And you can see everybody, they're like, oh, the guy buying the discount shit is holding up the line. Now, because when I do this, I do it fast, I wear my glasses. Now, I only need these glasses for when I'm looking at screens. They're old person glasses. They're glasses that help me look at my phone and they help me look at my computer screen. And when I'm at the robot checkout, I'm wearing them because I'm going fast and I know what I'm doing. So I got this problem and I'm like, whoa, got a problem. And I got my glasses on. Remember, very important, got my glasses on because when you try to look great distance in these kinds of glasses, everything's blurry. Can't see anything. It's blurry. And I got my glasses on. It's blurry. So I look over, I turn to where the Kroger worker stands. I turn to where just moments earlier, there was, a tall, thin, black male in a blue Kroger shirt. He was standing there and I had even said hello to him because he's there all the time. But now, remember, I need his help. But I've got my glasses on. And I'm like, whoa, I need help. So I turn and I look at him and I see him there and I go, I need help here. And the guy goes like that. And then I start to get frustrated. So I'm like, no. Now remember, I'm wearing my glasses. I go, no, it won't scan it. And the dude goes, man, I don't work here. Holy crap. I took my glasses off. It was just another tall, thin black guy in a blue shirt. He was standing where the other guy. And then he laughed. He was like, I'm a different tall, thin black guy. And I go, oh, man. And he's like, he's right there. And he points. And now I got my glasses off. So now I can see normal distances. And I'm like, oh, man. And it got into this situation He started joking about it, and I was humiliated. And I'm good in these situations. Usually, if we're gonna joke about something, we're gonna improv here. I can go with it. But I was like, white guilt. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh shit, I'm one of them. They all look alike to me, dudes. Oh my God, that's what he's thinking. But that's not what happened. Because remember, I told you my glasses. I was wearing bifocals when I looked in the direction of where the tall, thin black guy in the blue Kroger shirt was. I looked in that direction and I saw a blurry, tall, thin black guy in a blue shirt. And so I'm sorry. I just thought, I was humiliated. And he laughed. He even said, ha, 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 I don't think we look that much alike. And then, of course, I have to start explaining. And I'm humming. I'm like, no, see, it's the glasses. I was wearing I couldn't. Oh, now I see. And at this point, the dude who actually works there, he comes up behind me. And I turn, and I don't know if this was the right thing to say. I turn and I look at him, and I go, oh, now I see. And they both laughed. I'm like, I don't know, man. And I'm trying to explain, like the guy who works there is now actually dealing with the problem. He's doing the things going beep, 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 beep. He's like getting me back up. And I'm like looking at him like, I'm really not a racist. I was wearing glasses. You wear glasses. And both of these guys are like 25. So they have no clue. They have no clue about these glasses. These glasses are a menace. If you leave them on too long, you're blind. You're like, what? Everything is blurry. So that was my story at Kroger yesterday. I'm not a racist. And yeah, this happened in front of like 30 people. And everybody in line, like, I heard there was like a black lady. She's like, she started muttering to herself. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to fight a black lady at Kroger because they think I'm a racist. That'll just make it look like I'm a bigger racist. It was a bad situation, but I got out of there. And now I got to go back. And that dude's going to be working there. And he knows me. It's not like, I look like everybody else. I'm kind of, handsome. All right, that was my trip to Kroger. That was not good. Snow. Let's talk about the snow. We got snow apparently. Like where did the snow line start? Because once again, we here in North Texas, we got nothing. I'm watching video clips from Austin, from Waco. They're like, they got legitimate snow, man. They got legitimate Midwestern winter snowfall. They're sledding in Houston, Corpus Christi. You get all these frozen palm trees down there. I saw a video of that. That was crazy. Florida. So I don't know. I've never seen that before. This isn't a global warming thing. So, ease your, response. But I don't know. Weather, man. They got snow down there. We got nothing. 2 weeks ago here in North Texas, they prepared us a good week out. Better get to the store. Better buy all the toilet paper North Texas has available because it's going to be end of time snowstorm. Delkus told me that. I usually trust Delkus. Not anymore. Delkus, you're dead to me. That storm that supposedly, apparently it stopped at the bush. If you're familiar with North Texas, apparently everybody north of the bush got a taste of winter and snow. Everybody south of the bush, like we here, here in the design district or over where I stay by SMU, we didn't get anything. We got nothing. So, but this is real, man. They got real snow. A winter storm system. Excuse me. It says winter storm system blankets Louisiana and states as winter storm rages. Here's the latest. Let's see here. We're going to tell us about our neighbor to the east. A winter storm pummeled South Louisiana with frigid winds. This is off the Gulf of America, right? See what I did? See, I'm calling it that. I'm totally calling it. I'm calling it Gulf of America. Why not? That's fun. I have no influence. Gulf of America. You know what else I'm calling it? I'm not calling it New Mexico. I'm calling it New America. That's, first of all, that rolls. New America sounds like a cool-ass state name. But yeah, no more New Mexico, no more Gulf of Mexico. It's now Gulf of America, and it's New America. I love it. It's fun. Hurts no one except the people it actually hurts. Snow started to fall before sunrise across most of the southern half of the United States. and the New Orleans French Quarter was blanketed by 7 a.m. How much snow did they get? All right, I'm going to try not to be a big, Midwestern city of Chicago snow snob. Okay, I'm going to try not to. By 11 a.m. in New Orleans, at least 1 to 3 inches of snow had already accumulated across much of the state, with some areas reporting even more. 1 to 3 inches is absolutely nothing. Well, I don't even get out of bed. No, actually, it's the opposite. I get out of bed for 1 to 3 inches like it's nothing. 8 to 12 inches, I might stay in bed. If it's 8 to 12, I'm going to roll over. I'm going, yeah, we're not going to work today. That's what I'm not going to. I can't even get out of my house. The snow's probably all blown into the front door. But 1 to 3, that's nothing. But 1 to 3 from Louisiana, they're all drunk. And all the frozen urine in the streets down there. Oh, my God, you guys. Do you know how many people broke collarbones slipping on frozen urine on Bourbon Street? Snow started to fall before sunrise, blah, blah, blah. The day's snowfall led to road and school closures, pleas from city and parish officials to stay home, and more. How much snow? What's the total? The snow total is going to be one. Some parts of the state were reporting up to 7 inches of snow. Okay, 7 inches is a legit snowfall, especially for a place that doesn't have any experience dealing with snowfall. That's legit. 7 inches in Dallas would shut us down until it melted, which would be like 4 hours. So we'd have an afternoon siesta while we waited for the 7 inches of snow to melt. All right, what else do we have here? Netflix. Oh, man, are you seeing what Netflix is doing? First of all, a couple of things. I need to mention something. Jeff in the chat room. Jeff Ballard sent me a thing on Twitter suggesting American Primeval on Netflix, and I didn't respond because I don't know why I didn't respond. Why didn't I respond? I saw it. I was like, eh. Anyway, yeah, I watched it. Story of the Utah War. I watched it. I watched it before you suggested it. It's pretty good. It's about the Utah War. What is the Utah War? I don't know. Mormons. It's about Mormons. It's about Hey. Here's the thing I will say about Netflix's American Primeval. Could you make a series like that where you portray the leader of a religion, the Mormon religion, the Church of Latter-day Saints? It's a real religion in this country. I mean, I know a lot of, Christians and other people might turn their nose up at it, but it's not Scientology. It's more legit than Scientology. The knock on Mormonism, I guess, is that people are like, well, didn't it just isn't it only 100 years old? So I guess that bothers people. Whatever. But could you make a television show in America that depicts the leader of a recognized religion so poorly? This entire series makes Brigham Young out to be a madman, an absolute murderous lunatic. And I'm watching it, I'm like, huh, I guess nobody fears the Mormons. That's what that is. Imagine you do that with I don't know. I don't even want to go there. But anyway, American Primeval, it's very good. It's very good. Very interesting if you like history. I was a big fan of Deadwood. So it's very Deadwood. It's got very Deadwoody kind of vibes to it. Also, if you're looking for pedigree, the dude who did The Revenant. The movie where Leonardo DiCaprio fights a bear. That's him. Anyway, it's the same guy. So it's the same vibe, same time period. It's the story of the Mormons trying to take over Utah at the same time that the Shoshone are trying to save their land, at the same time that the military is trying to keep the Mormon at bay, at the same time that people are making their way west in wagon trains and being slaughtered by both the Indians and the Mormon. Oh, it's really good. So you'll enjoy that. And I say this because you probably have Netflix. Netflix. Why? Because Netflix is making money hand over fist, y'all. They are making money like madmen, up 300% year over year. Netflix reports gains unprecedented. Really? I mean, because I remember you said the same thing during the pandemic. Remember, wasn't that all about Netflix and how much money they made? And then remember when we all went back to work and the pandemic was over, Netflix, who made unbelievable money during the pandemic, after the Netflix, the pandemic ended, Netflix then told us we got to raise prices because you guys aren't watching as much. Well, we weren't watching as much before the pandemic either. What do you mean you got to raise prices? So they raised prices. And the excuse was, well, there was fall off after everybody went back to work. But you made all of that money during the pandemic. See, this is the never quenchable thirst for more and more golden trinkets. Yeah, Netflix this year, 300% year over year. They are back, baby, and bigger than ever. Netflix is killing it. Oh, stockholders are happy. Oh, here's another story from Netflix. Yeah, they're raising their prices to $25 per household. There you go. Netflix is, yeah, told you all of that. They're best year ever. Raised prices after the pandemic. Prices went up after the pandemic because they're like, yeah, sorry, sir, but we have nothing to eat now. Here's my tin cup. Please, I need a little more. That's what they told us after the pandemic. And we're like, wait a second. Like the entire world knows who what was his name? Joe Exotic. The whole world knows who Joe Exotic is now. That was you guys. You guys made all kinds of money. What are you doing now that the pandemic's over, raising our prices? So then they raised their prices. And they have an even better year making money. So how do they celebrate having the best year in Netflix's history, including the pandemic? They're going to raise prices. Hey! Okay, whatever. Man, what are you going to do? Let's see. I should probably present. I've just extemporaneously, given my whole let's tear down the machine speech. So let's listen to what Netflix has to say. Stream spike. Netflix price increase leaves fans furious with monthly rates spiking to $25 after surge of new users. See, that shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't raise your prices because now you've got so many more customers. The more customers, you should lower the price. No, it's not how it works. Customers are fuming after Netflix confirmed another price increase on Tuesday. The streaming company said the cost bump comes as the platform grows and offers more perks. Dude, just don't give me that nonsense too. Every time I'm like scrolling through something, half the stuff is from Pakistan or South Korea or Germany. Like, stop it. Can I just get the American stuff? Here's what I want. I want American stuff. I want Canadian stuff. I want English stuff from England. Anywhere they speak English. There you go. That's my whole criteria. I just want stuff that they speak English. I think it's wonderful that you offer all of these other things. But why am I paying for it? Netflix lowest costing ad-supported tier will increase from $1 to $7. For the ad-free tier, the increase will go from 17. I don't even know how much Netflix is. It's just debit, right? For those customers who have the premium tier without ads, that's like what it originally was. Remember, originally it was the premium, and then they started like looking for ways to make money. So they're like, hey, you like this? Yeah, we're going to make it shittier unless you pay more. So now what was originally like entry-level Netflix is now premium. No commercials. Those customers who have the premium tier without ads will also go from paying $22.99 to $25. Yay, Netflix. Hey, congratulations on the banner year, Netflix. I'll gladly give you more money because nothing makes me happier than to see super rich people get even more rich off of our own stupidity. Here you go. This was a story that I thought was interesting that we could talk about. It's not necessarily news, but it does offer some ways for us as we get older to, it says it can give us a whole decade of extra life. If we do these things, are you ready? If we do these things, I don't know when, starting when, because I'm pretty far down the road I don't know if I started now, but anyway, here you go. Do these things every day, they say, and you will live cumulatively another 10 years. Take the stairs, it says here. Take the stairs. Okay, that's kind of obvious. I don't know. Tend to the garden. All right, Jesus. Like we're Wiggly Olive Gardens. Carry your shopping and walk to the grocery store. Yeah, like we all live in Brooklyn in 1960 and we've got a corner bodega. Nobody can walk to their very few people can walk to their grocery store. Okay? Running for the bus. All right, again, how about just run, right? Running for the bus. Kitchen tasks and cleaning. Clean your house. Okay? All right. Clean your house. Again, these are all tasks that they say if you do these every day, you're going to live an extra 10 years. Do your laundry. All right. There you go. That seems kind of self-explanatory. Vacuum. This is all under housework. You already told us to do housework. Here's a dumb one. You want to live an extra 10 years? Here's what they say you need to do every day. Get up and then get down. What? What do you mean? Getting up and getting down. I don't know if this is, getting up and getting down. We should aim to get up out of our chairs every 30 minutes to move around and break up prolonged sitting time. And even simple, that's stupid. All right, anyway, those are the tips. You know what I do? I've started working out. And you know what working out for me consists of now? I stretch. Every night, I got to stretch. About a year and a half ago, I started working with my son on long snaps. And I told you about this, how I messed up my arm, my shoulder really bad because one of the ways that you teach them how to spin a ball through their legs, long snapper style, is you start it by throwing it this way over your head. And you have to throw it a certain way, right? It's the motion that will then be moved down under your legs. But you do this motion over and over again. And I'm an old man and I'm playing catch with him while doing this motion. And I swear to God, I thought it was just like a muscle tinge because that's not a muscle group that I've used in forever. I have not been able to raise my arm over. There you go. Apparently I can't, but it hurts. Okay. That hurts to do that. And it is much better. And it is much better because I've started stretching every night. Like every night I'm like doing this little yoga. Okay. Yes, it's yoga. All right. But I don't want to call it that. Because although I'm not alpha, I'm also not yoga. I'm not doing that. But it's yoga. And it's like stretch. And I got to tell you, I sleep so well. I mean, after these crazy stretch moves and stuff, it's basic. Please don't be like, what? Yeah, you're not doing yoga right. No, I know I'm not doing it right. Stop it. I'm trying. And it's awesome. I'm really enjoying it. Once I get a couple more moves down and I can hold them, which is really hard, I might take a class. I might actually turn this into a real kind of workout kind of a thing. Because I got to tell you, it's the stretching that I need. It's like when you get to be a certain age, I think your muscle, what happens? They just stop. They're like, you got to use us more. And if you don't stretch them. So anyway, that's what I've been doing. I've been stretching for like 2 weeks. My son makes fun of me. He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm stretching. You look gay. I'm like, what do you mean? And his thing is GHEY. I go, that doesn't change it. Yeah, it does. Yeah, it does. Because I'm not saying the other thing. I'm like, okay, whatever. All right, what else we got? Let's do more here. Netflix price. Oh, here, this is fun. This is cool. There's going to be a concert tour that I won't go to, but I'll tell you right now that I would go. Like, here's how I would go to this tour. I don't go out. Okay. Just so you don't know, this is no like screw them, because this is actually a tour that I would like to see. It'd be fun. Like if they were playing in my backyard, you know what I mean? Like I'd go out and sit on a lawn chair in my backyard. If they were playing in my backyard, that would be great. But it's not because I don't like them. It's just because I don't like to go out and be around you people. I don't. The Great Unwashed, of which, I am a ranking member of the Great Unwashed. I don't like us. I don't like being in place. Some of us can't be trusted, and I don't know what's going to happen, so I don't like, and I'm old. Traffic. parking. What? You can't hear. What? It's just, there's too much going on. So I don't want to go to concerts anymore. But this concert, I got to be honest, I might be interested in going to this concert. Okay, so it was announced yesterday. Is anybody interested in seeing the Team Up Summer Tour? Billy Idol and Joan Jett. Oh my God! Now, I love this twosome, Billy Idol and Joan Jett, because it is such an obvious cash grab, but that's okay. That's fine. These two have absolutely nothing in common other than they were kind of famous at around the same time. I don't. Here's what I want to know, though. Billy Idol announces tour with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Okay, first of all, that's very important that the Blackhearts are actually involved. That's cool. Billy Idol announces tour with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts. Why is Billy Idol announcing this? Because here's what you always, when you see a concert like this and you're going to this concert, there are some people who are going to be Billy Idol fans first and Joan Jett fans second, and it'll be reversed. But both of those people will try and make cases as to who should be the headliner. I don't think there's any question about who the headliner is in a Billy Idol, Joan Jett double bill. Billy Idol is announcing the concert. Billy Idol went on the Today Show, and he did the whole, jump through the hoops and announced it. But I'm telling you, if I go to see Billy Idol and Joan Jett opens for Billy Idol, I'm going to be like, this is nonsense. Who did that? Maybe it'll be a thing. I mean, I could totally understand this because here's the deal. Joan Jett is super cool. Joan Jett is a super cool chick. So I bet Joan Jett would be like, yeah, man, we can go back and forth. I'll open for you one place. You'll open for me the other. That's kind of how Joan Jett is. She's totally cool. But make no mistake, these two are not in the same league. They're just not. Sorry. Joan Jett's a member of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Billy Idol's never even been on the ballot. They're like, Billy Idol's kind of like a silly 1980s. Joan Jett was in the Runaways, for screw's sake. Joan Jett is a music icon. She's a female rock icon. And she rocks. She's badass. Billy Idol is fun. Billy Idol was a creature of MTV. Billy Idol had a good look and a snarl, and his music was catchy and all that stuff. When Billy Idol was legit, he was in a band called Generation X, and you have never heard a Generation X song because they weren't hits. You've heard Runaway songs. You know the Runaways. Hell, that band was filled with icons. Cherry Bomb, Lita Ford, Joan Jett, Sherry O'Terry. Okay, that's not who the lead singer of the Runaways were, but it was Cherry something. Anyway, I'm just making my case that if you were to go see a Joan Jett Billy Idol concert and Billy Idol was the headliner, I'd turn around. I'd be like, no, these people don't know what they're doing. But, God bless Joan Jett for being cool enough to go, whatever, man, I just want to rock. Because that's kind of Joan Jett's whole vibe. Billy Idol fans, get ready to rebel yell in delight. The rock and roll legend will hit the road on the It's a Nice Day to Tour Again tour with Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, which was announced exclusively on Today yesterday. Idol, who also released a video with comedian Matt Rife, guitarist Steve Stevens. That's good. That's kind of cool. If Steve Stevens is playing with Billy Idol, now we're back to the whole white wedding rebel yell kind of thing. That's badass. Let's see here. Stevens and Joan Jett, they announced the tour. It is a legend in pop punk. He's known for classic tracks like White Wedding, Flesh for Fantasy, Moni Moni, Rebel Yell, and Cradle of Love. All right, White Wedding, very good. Rebel Yell, very good. Flesh for Fantasy, that song sucks. Moni Moni makes me want to vomit. It's not even your song. It's Tommy Jane and Chandel, so stop that. Cradle of Love is a good song. There you go. Cradle of Love. Rock the cradle of love. Jett, for her part, it says here, Jett is a pioneer in rock music. Yeah, and I don't know why Joan Jett doesn't get respect the way she should. Because she's too cool to bitch about it. Honestly, I think that's what it is. I think Joan Jett's just like, yeah, whatever, man. They're dorks. I'm freaking cool. I'm Joan Jett. Jett is a pioneer in rock music. Joan Jett and the Blackhearts is known for hits such as Bad Reputation, I Love Rock and Roll, and I Hate Myself for Loving You. All three of those songs are better than every single Billy Idol song, including White Wedding and Rebel Yell. Sorry. Those three songs alone, Bad Reputation, I Love Rock and Roll, and I Hate Myself for Loving You, are better than anything Billy Idol ever did. Okay, here's everything you need to know about the tour, including how to get tickets and where they're going to be. All right, so where can we see this? Where will they be playing that I will not be in attendance for? Okay, here we go. For my friends in Chicago, playing the World Music Theater. That's right. I still call it the World Music Theater, although apparently it's now called the Credit Union One Amphitheater. There you go. What happened to the Hollywood, the Tweeter Center, the World, the New World? This thing, the same plot of land with the same seats, has been named 15 things in the last 20 years. Today it's going by Credit One Amphitheater. All right, that's on May 20th. Joan Jett, Billy Idol, May 20th. What about here? Dallas. Coming to Dallas, coming to Dallas, coming to Dallas, coming to Dallas. Let's see here. Coming to Dallas. Nope, not coming to Dallas. Coming to Austin. Going to be in Houston on May 3rd. All right, that's at the Mitchell Pavilion. Then on May 4th, they're going to be in Austin at the Moody Center. All right. And then on May 7th, 3 days later, it's going to take them 3 days to get from Austin to Fort Worth. Nah, they're going to hang out in Texas. On May 7th, they'll be at Fort Worth, the Dickies Arena. Dickies Arena at Fort Worth. So they're no Dallas dates. So if you want to see them, you got to drive over there. Anyway, there you have it. I would be very interested in going to that concert if I went to concerts. I don't know. Let's see. What else do we have here? A couple of things I wanted to mention. I know there's news and stuff. I know there's news. I don't want to get into it. I'm watching it right now. The wildfires in California, apparently a couple of them have started back up again. Well, they never stopped. They never had them done. We just completely lost interest in the story. I mean, it's still burning and stuff, but it's, a little more in control than it was when we were all hysterical about it. Terrible, terrible situation going on out there still. Some new ones have started. There you go. There's some news. There's some news that doesn't revolve around you screaming, at some stranger about, I don't know. I just don't want to get into it. What am I looking at here? All right, the President of the United States is taking questions. All right. He's taking questions. That'll be fun. We'll hear nothing but. We don't need to cover it right now because trust me, tonight, if you watch, evening news or if you watch any of the cable news, trust me, it'll be nothing but his answers to the questions he's being asked right now. We can only, fingers crossed. I'm sure it'll be great. All right. We don't do that stuff here. Ben Johnson. Wanted to talk a little bit about this. Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the head coach of the Chicago Bears. Now, I know that you people don't give a crap, and this is a very self-indulgent little screed I'm going to go on, but hell yeah, let's go. Ben Johnson was the most coveted coach available in this offseason new head coaching cycle. Oh, he's the hot young name. Oh, everybody wanted him. Thought there was no way he was going to choose the Chicago Bears because as a Chicago Bear fan, I think we're disgusting because I truly, if I wasn't like poisoned in my bones to be loyal to this team, if I hadn't been poisoned, I would stay as far away from that dumpster fire run by some woman out of a retirement home. Wouldn't want anything to do with it. So, in the ramp up to the Bears finally announcing who they would choose as their new head coach, I was saying I wanted Pete Carroll. I'm like, Pete Carroll. You never even heard me mention Ben Johnson because I was too frightened to dare to dream. That's what it was. I was too frightened to dare to dream. I thought there was no way he's going to choose us. He's going to choose somebody else. It's probably going to go to Tom Brady and the Raiders. I thought that was a done deal. So I had convinced myself that Pete Carroll was the next best option. And Todd Monken. Can you believe I spent like the whole weekend researching Todd Monken? I'm like, well, if we go offensive coordinator, it'll be Todd Monken. I know too much about Todd Monken now. He's the offensive coordinator for the Ravens. will not be the head coach of the Bears because, believe it or not, Ben Johnson, who last offseason was the number one most coveted coordinator in the head coaching cycles, Ben Johnson, and Ben Johnson, who is once again this year the number one most sought in the coaching cycle, he chose my team. Oh my God, you have no idea. So now, of course, I'm here to admit that the whole time I was certainly crushing on Ben Johnson. I just didn't think he would choose us. He chose us. Do you have any idea? You Cowboy fans don't know. You Cowboy fans are pretty. The Cowboys are pretty. They're set. They might be dumb and crazy. Like, the Cowboys are an incredibly hot girl. The Cowboys are an incredibly hot girl who you date, marry, and divorce all within like a 6-week period. That's who the Cowboys are. So hot. Oh my God. But then you find out they're nuts. They're absolutely out of their mind and dangerous to you. Like, you got to get out of there. That's what the Cowboys are. The Chicago Bears are a homely girl whose dad is your boss. There you go. Something like that. You know, you're like, she's all right. I mean, I'm with her because her dad's going to, you know, that's what she, all right, you know what, I'll put it this way. The Chicago Bears are a homely girl who comes from money, right? Because they got the whole history of the NFL and all that stuff. So she's like, you know, you're like, yeah, I want to be associated with that family. And I don't need her to be that hot. I'm just going to cheat on her anyway. You know, that's probably how. The prettiest man, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, Leonardo DiCaprio, whatever. Some of you weirdos out there, Pete Davidson, the hottest dude, chose the homely girl. He chose the homely girl. That feels so good. It feels so good after being a team that is just so abused. All right, now let's talk about the Cowboys. Aaron Glenn is off the board. Aaron Glenn is signed with the New York Jets. He's going to be there. I don't know if he's signed, actually, but it's been announced. It's been announced within the last hour or so. He is off to New York. He is, of course, the defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. The Detroit Lions have absolutely nothing. What are they going to do? Yeah, we have this guy, Hank Fraley, or is it Frank Haley? I don't know. See, I got to get on this. Apparently, there is a dude who is... He's like the quarterback's coach in Detroit, and he's either gonna be the new offensive coordinator under Dan Campbell, or he's gonna be the new offensive coordinator in Chicago under. Point is this: Dan Campbell needs to hire some people because his entire staff is being pilfered. Cowboys are still. Is it really? I followed Jeff Kavanaugh. That's, you know, I like Jeff. Jeff's good with all the Cowboy stuff. So he seems to be really selling the idea. Not that he's endorsing it, but he seems to be thinking that it looks like the Cowboys are going to end up choosing this Brian Schottenheimer guy. Where's CC? Well, I need CC and my Sports Bras guy. What are you thinking? Dion, are we still there? Cowboy fans are just dumb enough. Y'all are just stupid enough to think that Dion's the answer to your problems, and God love you. Dion, you know me, because I got a 15-year-old son. I got a 15-year-old son who loves the Dallas Cowboys. So I'd like to see him happy. But short of that, I love a good Cowboys dumpster fire, a good tire fire. It's a circus fire. That's what I like to specifically call what the Dallas Cowboys have going on. It's a circus fire. It's horrible. It's a lot of fun until the whole big top goes up. You're being trampled by elephants and flaming clowns. That's what's happening right now with the Dallas Cowboys in this coaching search. Why? Because they weren't prepared. Why? Because they don't have any professionalism up above the head coaching position. It is all just family. It's like the Jones family. They're like Buford T. Justice and his, what was the idiot kid's name? That's essentially, they were caught off guard. Jerry Jones believed this is delusional. Jerry Jones believed that he could treat Mike McCarthy, a guy with a Super Bowl who's still a legend in Green Bay and despised in the proper corners of the NFC North. Mike McCarthy is a legit football man, okay? Jerry Jones existed in this delusion where he could treat him like he treated, I don't know, Jason Garrett maybe or somebody like that. And he let him coach the entire year without a contract. Now, do you know what that does? I know Mike McCarthy's fine. Mike McCarthy's got money. He can work a year for free, 2 years for free. He doesn't ever have to work again. Mike McCarthy's fine. But you know what that does to the people who are loyal to Mike McCarthy? Because it wasn't just Mike McCarthy who was working without any guarantees at the end of the season. It was his entire staff. Jerry Jones screwed over the quality control coach, the assistant, linebackers coach, all of those. It's not just Mike McCarthy. Mike McCarthy had to sit there and look at the way his staff was treated by this man. And the minute Mike McCarthy had the upper hand, he walked. He said, yeah, we're out of here, man. And you are in no way prepared for this because you thought you could just string me along. You thought that you could treat me like your bitch publicly all of these months. And that then at the end, I would come crawling back because it's such a pleasure being the coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Jerry got pantsed. And now he looks like a major fool. Have you seen any of the national coverage? Have you seen the way the facility or the way NFL Today, any of these have you seen the way they're talking about this? The Cowboys should be embarrassed. The Cowboys are going to end up with somebody that nobody else wants because Jerry Jones was arrogant enough to think that Mike McCarthy was going to bend his knee and do whatever he said on the time schedule that he wanted it to play out. Jerry got screwed again because he doesn't know the league. Did Jerry not think that Mike McCarthy would be hugely in demand in an offseason where there's, 8 openings? Are you kidding me? See, that's the arrogance. That's why it'll always be nothing more than a circus fire as long as, and I hate to say this because I know that there are some people who are like, well, maybe it'll be different when Steven takes over. I don't know. I'd love to have that conversation with you about the Dallas Cowboys. What is it exactly that you've seen from Stephen Jones that makes you think he is going to be any different than Jerry? I mean, I suppose you could look, if you need to be, a hope trafficker, if you're trafficking in hope and optimism, you could look to the Chicago Blackhawks. You could. Bill Wirtz. Bill Wirtz was the owner of the Chicago Blackhawks for 80 years or some crap. He was an old man who was incredibly powerful in the NHL, and he sat upon his throne in Chicago. And for the last 25 years that he owned that team, they sucked because he refused to modernize. He refused to do any of the things that all the other teams that were seeing success around the league were engaging in because he was one of those guys like Jerry Jones. The league bends to Bill Wirtz's will. The league bends to Jerry Jones. Jerry's always 10 yards ahead of everybody. That's how these guys operate. That's the delusion of power. That's the delusion of unchecked power. And when I say Cowboys fans, if you're hoping that Steven's going to be something, look at the Chicago Blackhawks, because that old man died and his son, who I don't know that Blackhawk fans had any great hopes for. I think they assumed it was going to be the same old. But that son, Rocky Wirtz, became the president, and he immediately put together a dynasty, doing everything that his father would not do. So there is hope for the Dallas Cowboys. There is hope that maybe Stephen Jones is just biding his time. Yes, Daddy. Just, Daddy's in control. We don't question Daddy. But I'll tell you, man, Brian Schottenheimer, Kellen Moore, or Deion Sanders are all, in my opinion, less than great choices for the next coach of the Dallas Cowboys. You want to know, honestly, I hate to say this. This is so crazy. I said this earlier. Mike McCarthy should be the next coach. A rejuvenated, looking for a fresh start, Mike McCarthy would be the guy. But you can't do that. So why wouldn't Jerry look to Pete Carroll? Pete Carroll is a serious qualified candidate to try and get this Cowboys team in a different headspace. I mean, the Cowboys need a motivator, right? The Cowboys need somebody to take all of this talent, and it does look like there's a good deal of talent here on the Cowboys. Holes, to be sure, but real talent. I mean, it's going to take somebody who's like a mental manipulator. It's going to take somebody who is great at creating something totally new. And I think that's Pete Carroll, man. I think Pete Carroll comes in here and wins the Super Bowl next year with the Dallas Cowboys. I know that's crazy, but he's like that kind of guy. And it seems like he'd be great here. He'll probably going to end up in Las Vegas, though, but whatever. Anyway, maybe Mike McCarthy will end up in Las Vegas. Anyway, I have nothing to offer as far as, what the Cowboys, they screwed themselves. They did not think that they would be here. And that is because they are run by an absolutely backward ass old man and his ridiculous son. They have no idea. Mike McCarthy, where else you going to go? And Mike's like, well, Chicago. How about that? I think when the Bears, like the day they were allowed to legally, they reached out to the Cowboys immediately and said, "Hey, we want to talk to McCarthy." I think that might have had Jerry going, "Wait, what? Really? Wait, hold on." Peter says, "Let's bring Jimmy back." That would be epic. That'd be terrible. That'd be absolutely terrible. If you could bring Jimmy back, the way he was when he left in like whenever, 97, I don't know when he left, but back then, sure, why not? CC says, Steven did stop Jerry from drafting Johnny Manziel. Oh. See, but that might have been different. See, I'm sorry. I don't know if that's good or bad. Well, I mean, certainly you can look at what Johnny Manziel ended up doing in Cleveland and then in the CFL. And you can say, yeah, he was a bum, that garbage. But I don't know, man. What if he becomes the Dallas Cowboys? What if that's all a different thing? It's close to home. His daddy's here. Look, I know. I'm trying to be optimistic. There is a timeline in this multiverse where Johnny Manziel was drafted by the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are on their way to winning their 10th straight Super Bowl. That timeline exists. April and Jimmy says Jimmy would never work for Jerry again. Yeah, of course not. But I mean, come on, we're talking about two 90-year-old men. It's pretty hard being an NFL head coach. There was the show was late today because Ben Johnson held his press conference as the new head coach of the Chicago Bears. Ben Johnson held the press conference at 11 o'clock. And I'm like, no, I'm watching this, man. Are you kidding me? Do you know how much? I feel like I know everything about this guy. I've read everything. I've watched endless videos on YouTube. Why Ben Johnson's offense is the next. I've watched all of these videos. I've seen it all. Very impressive. But I don't really know who this guy is other than just a couple of clips. Like, I guess he was at the Senior Bowl 2 years ago. The Detroit Lions coaching staff went down to the Senior Bowl and they were coaching, one of the teams. And he was mic'd up for a practice session. So I got to see him and he was nice. He's talking with, Sam Howell. A young Sam Howell, a young Malik, who was the other guy? I don't know, whatever. And I was like, yeah, that's good, but I need more. So today the press conference comes out. It's 11 o'clock. I'm like, well, I should be on my way to the studio now, but I'm going to watch this. The press conference went for about an hour, and that's why the show is late. So thank you for indulging me. Y'all got to understand, Chicago media, when it comes to press conferences, I mean, you almost can't hear what the person on the microphone is saying from the sound of all the knives sharpening. They go after you. They're brutal. Chicago media is mean. They don't like you. Never say anything like this. It's like across the board, everybody in Chicago media is like, did you see that press conference? Oh my God, where has that guy been? That guy is the most competent, intelligent, articulate, good-mannered, blah, blah. He was impressive. He was very impressive. He said, just let's start from the beginning. He's handsome, but he's not so handsome that you're like, I'm afraid to leave my girl around him. Like, he's not douchebag handsome. But you can see why he's got a pretty wife and why they've probably been together since, high school or whatever. He's a good-looking man. Oh, he's a quarterback. Remember I told you all quarterbacks are kind of attractive, except for Lamar Jackson and Jim Plunkett. They're the two ugliest quarterbacks that have ever been allowed in the NFL. And the way he answered the question, look, I have a couple of rules. And by the way, you might want to use these rules when you watch the Cowboys introduce whoever it is that they eventually end up hiring. But these rules are, I don't want to hear any, first of all, cliches, right? We got to go on cliche watch. They're gonna give 100% of the time. You got to get cliche watch. You don't want any cliches out of your coach. You also don't want, what are those things called? Those devices where, like I'll give you an example. Matt Eberflus, right? And this is like from his opening press conference. I was just like, oh no, here we go. Matt Eberflus had his coaching system boiled down to what he called the HITS principle. And the HITS was like H, high intensity, or H, hit, I, intensely, T, what is that called? Where people don't do that. If your coach gives you that in the press conference, you're like, oh, geez, here we go. We had none of that nonsense. There was none of that nonsense from Ben. He was just a regular guy. He was very serious. He spoke directly to the team. He told them, you guys better be ready to work and you better be ready to be accountable, which is exactly the kind of stuff we wanted. Because that look, Matt Eberflus is a nice man, but he's not a taskmaster. He's not. Those players walked all over him. He's a nice man. He draws up a good defense. Cowboys should seriously go after Eberflus as their DC. He's one of the best DCs in football. It's how he became the head coach. And what did he instantly do as head coach? He created a top 5 defense from the beginning in Chicago. Matt Eberflus could coach a defense. And he was a Cowboys linebackers coach like 8 years ago. So he's got ties to Jerry and all that. Matt Eberflus, come on down. Run a defense here in Dallas. Oh, do you know what Matt Eberflus could do with Micah Parsons? Trust me when I tell you, look, hey, I know he failed as my team's head coach. He's a terrific defensive coordinator. He's a terrific defensive schemer. He's really good. Ben Johnson at the press conference today, what else did he say? Did he say anything that was cool? Oh, yeah. Okay, so here's the questions, right? So remember, I wasn't willing to admit I wanted Ben Johnson because I thought there was no way that he would choose us. Turns out he wanted us the whole time. Why did we waste all of this time? Last year, when he was like this top, guy, he didn't say this. He didn't, but you could draw between the lines. He didn't take any jobs because he was hoping the Chicago job would come open. And then the Chicago job didn't come open, so he stayed the extra year. I mean, he turned down Seattle. He turned down Washington famously from the airplane. He wanted Chicago from the beginning. He talked about that in his press conference today. He also talked about the famous stumble bum play. Do you guys know what the stumble bum play is? Here, I want to show you this. This was funny. I wanted to know about this. The stumble bum, here, let's go. I'll pull this up. Was a play that our new head coach pulled on us when he was coaching Detroit, when he was the offensive coordinator for Detroit. And it's called the stumble bum. And here, I'm going to show it to you. Dun, 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 dun. Am I not going to be able to find the damn stumble bum play? Bear with me. Bear with me. No pun intended. Pizza. Oh, my God, I'm looking at pizza. All right, maybe I won't be able to find it. Oh, by the way, the show's basically done. I mean, I finished. Right now, we're just talking about. I just saw it. Oh, here you go. All right. So, yeah, I want to show you this play because he had to explain this play today. He was asked about it in the press conference. This was just a couple of in Soldier Field. It was the Detroit Lions, his team. He's the offensive coordinator against the Bears. He was asked in the press conference, this play, the stumble bum, was this an audition? Like, because you knew that the Bears' job was open. They had interim coach Thomas Brown was on the sideline. He was the favorite, Ben Johnson. He was the one pick that they wanted. Like, he knew. So he was asked, were you auditioning in this game when you called this play? This play is so awesome. It's stupid. It'll probably not work 9 out of 10 times, but it just so happens that it worked here. And it's the kind of fun shit that this offensive coordinator does. It's called the stumble bump. What happens is the quarterback pretends like it's a bad snap and that he's stumbling to maintain possession of the ball. At the very same time, the one back in the background, he's in the backfield, that back is going to start his motion and then fall like he has slipped. Okay, so this is going to draw the middle linebacker who is there spying either the back out of the backfield or the quarterback. So that kind of mistake, just in a split second, makes the linebacker think the ball is on the ground and he comes off coverage, leaving somebody. It's amazing. The stumble bump. So watch this.
Right against him as well. Would have gone both sides. Gibbs stumbled after taking the snap. But it doesn't matter. Connects with Laporta. The Lions touchdown.
It's just crazy.
Even when something goes wrong, it goes right.
Even the announcers had no idea that that was a drawn up play. He's like, even when it goes wrong, it goes right. This was a play. And they figured that out in a second here.
Detroit. Even when something goes wrong, it goes right for the Detroit Lions. It's really supposed to be Laporta, who's right there, that's going to kind of stumble out of there. And I wonder if that was a trick play.
Yeah, it was a trick play. It was not an actual stumble. Watch that again. Watch this. This is so great.
It's really supposed to be Laporta, who's right there.
Oh, look, so he's right now pretending like the ball's on the ground. Right? That's going to draw. Well, Brisker, I don't know what Brisker's doing. He's in coverage anyway. Oh, holy crap. I'm sorry, you guys. We don't need to be doing the all 22
That's
on
going
this.
to kind of stumble out of
Look
there.
at this bullshit.
And I wonder if that would be Laporta who's...
Look at Jahmyr Gibbs right here. Jahmyr Gibbs, he doesn't trip. He purposely dives onto the ground.
Right there, that's going to...
Look at him.
Kind of stumble out of there.
Right back up into the block. Oh, that's a football play. Down momentarily to break the linebacker out of his coverage. That's why you fall momentarily. Then you get right back up and you throw that block on the crashing end. Oh, my God. That's a great play.
And I wonder if that was a trick play because now it looks intentional. You have Jahmyr Gibbs fake falling. You have Jared Goff fake stumbling.
Just one man wide open. That was beautiful. Okay, so he was asked about that play. He was asked, they said, hey, Ben, the stumble bum play, to which before the questioner could finish, he said, did you like that one? Did you like that one? Like, it was just like so awesome. Like, yeah, we like that one. All right, so I'm pretty happy. All right, we're in a good mood there. What else? Is there anything else that I wanted to mention? Oh yeah. We can talk about this. So somebody suggested the other day the new Peacock documentary series on the history of Saturday Night Live. Peacock is all in propagandizing this year of Saturday Night Live, the 50th year of Saturday Night Live. So they've got all of these different pieces on the Peacock channel or app or whatever if you watch Peacock. One of them is a 4-part docuseries about Saturday Night Live. Now, in theory, if you were to tell me there was a 4-part documentary series about the history of the past 50 years of Saturday Night Live, me as somebody who has seen, I brag about this, every episode of Saturday Night Live ever produced, I would say, ooh, that sounds interesting to me. This didn't sound all that interesting to me because I knew that it was in relation to the 50th anniversary year, and I wondered how legit would it be and who are the actual producers of this, because are we going to get a whitewashed story of the history? Because there is so much dark shit in Saturday Night Live's history, drug overdoses and sexual relations. Like, what are we going to get? Is this going to be real? So I decided to watch it. I watched it over the last 3 nights. It is 4 episodes, 4 independent episodes on Peacock. I think it's called Inside Saturday Night Live or something, the docuseries history. It's 4 episodes. Each episode is over an hour long. So it's meaty, it's hearty. And if you're interested in this content, it's interesting. It's fun. So I watched it. I watched all 4 episodes. I didn't love it. I really didn't love it. I thought it was kind of cheap. I thought it was obviously, it's a celebration of Saturday Night Live. That's what it is. Okay. That's not what I wanted. So that's why I'm a little disappointed, but a celebration of Saturday Night Live is absolutely fine. I didn't learn anything that I didn't already know as somebody who considers himself a bit of a historian on that show. Didn't learn really anything I didn't know. I thought they made some really, really terrible choices in how to tell the story of the 50 years of Saturday Night Live. And I'll explain it to you this way. So what is my biggest problem? It's broken down into 4 episodes. Okay. The first episode, hold on, let me see here. Yeah. The first episode is called, what is it called? First episode is called Auditions. So it's like an hour and 10 minutes, documentary interviewing a whole bunch of people from Saturday Night Live's past and showing their audition tape. Wonderful. It was so fun. They explain what the audition is like, how they got the call, what it puts them through, what the thrill of arriving in New York and walking into that studio. All good, yum, fantastic. Episode 1, thumbs up. You'll love it. It's fun. It's great. However, I didn't realize this. I'm watching episode 1 and I'm like, okay. Well, that's strange, but maybe there's 3 more episodes, so maybe that'll change. And what was it that I thought was strange? I thought it was strange that episode 1, the auditions, barely even acknowledged the first 20 years of Saturday Night Live. Barely acknowledged it. They pick up at about 1995, and everything is about Amy Poehler and Tina Fey and Will Ferrell, all of the millennials. You know why? Because this is an advertising decision. They're like, we're going to focus on the people the millennials remember. We're not going to do 15 minutes on what Jane Curtin is doing now, because the only people who know Jane Curtin are old and they don't buy shit, okay? So we're not trying to sell commercials to them. So let's just pretend that the only relevant shit in Saturday Night Live's history began around 1995 with Chris Farley and Adam Sandler, which is an era of Saturday Night Live that absolutely deserves its due. But I did not like, after watching episode 1, that there was very little attention being given to anything that occurred before 1995. So then we go on to episode 2 of the 4-part Saturday Night Live episode, docuseries, episode 2. Episode 1 is auditions. Good. It was good. Again, my problem seemed to be focused only on this specific group, but okay. Episode 2 is a week at Saturday Night Live. What is a week? How do you produce a show? Episode 2, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the greatest things I've ever seen concerning Saturday Night Live. Episode 2 is fascinating. It starts out, they're all like, yeah, so the show ends on Saturday, and then we all go out to the party on Saturday night, and then, on Sunday, it's just kind of, that's our one day, and then it's, Monday, and then they take you through the grind. Monday is all about just shotgunning ideas, sketch ideas, hundreds of them. And then Tuesday, they take those ideas and they write them, right? Yeah, they write all of the ideas. They find 18 good ones out of all of the pitches, and they write them on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, they do the table read with all of the actors. And from the table read, they decide which ones are going to make. It's incredibly interesting. It is just really cool. And you're seeing all kinds of behind the scenes stuff. So if you like Saturday Night Live, episode 2 is probably going to be the baller episode for you. It's really good. It's really interesting. Episode 3. Episode 3 is where I start to get really angry at this. And I'm like, what? Episode 3 is simply called Cowbell. They have 4 hours in this docuseries, 4 episodes, 4 one-hour episodes. They got 4 hours to tell the story of Saturday Night Live, and they're going to dedicate an entire episode to one sketch, a sketch that is so... It's the most famous sketch in SNL history. It's the funniest sketch. Oh my God, you can't name a funnier sketch. I could name 15 funnier sketches than the Cowbell sketch. Okay? I can name 2 funnier sketches just from last weekend. I am so sick and tired of people thinking that the greatest thing Saturday Night Live ever did was the more Cowbell sketch. Jesus. Is it funny? Yeah, it is. Is it a top 25 maybe? Yeah, it's pretty funny, man. Will Ferrell sells that sketch. But, just because it coincided, the millennial audience coincided with social media and meme, more Cowbell. All of a sudden now it's like, that's the greatest one. No, it's not. No, it's not. What about, really? You think that's the greatest one? Holy cow. Have you never seen Chevy Chase and Richard Pryor do the job interview? And you think Cowbell is the funniest? You people don't know. Anyway, it was interesting. It was a full hour about the origins of that sketch and where it came from. And it was very interesting. It was very interesting. It could have been a 5-minute segment. It could have been, they could cut up, but they went through, dude, they even went to the manufacturers of cowbells and sat down and interviewed them about the impact it was so stupid. So, all right. So coming off episode 2, which is 1 week where I'm like, this is great. They slam into the brick wall with episode 3, the Cowbell episode. So stupid. You didn't need to. So I'm like, all right, well, I've gone through the first 3 episodes. I'm going to have to watch this last episode. The last episode is called Season 11, The Weird Year. And again, I have to mention, they have done absolutely nothing to honor, to tell the story of, to give credit to the foundational people. I don't think John Belushi's name was ever mentioned. I don't think it was ever mentioned. I really don't. There were a bunch of people back in the early days that they were, it was pretty popular, but I don't think it was ever mentioned. But again, episode 4 is dedicated to season 11. And it's called The Weird Year. And it was a season where Lorne Michaels had been gone. He came back. Lorne Michaels gave Franken and Davis, Tom Davis and Al Franken, gave them the producer job to produce the season. They went out. They had the weirdest cast. It's the strangest cast in the history of Saturday Night Live. It was only 1 year. You guys remember the season 11 cast? Now, I think, was it the year after or the year before? Yes, the year before the season 11, the weird year, which is the subject of episode 4. The year before, season 10, that was the year with Billy Crystal, you look marvelous, and it's very big, expensive, professional, known comedians, not a bunch of unknown kids. They cleaned that all out when Lorne Michaels came in, and they went, let's do something different. It was the strangest cast. Who was in that cast? Well, it was the cast that had Michael Anthony Hall and Robert Downey Jr. and Joan Cusack and Randy Quaid. Do you guys remember Damon Wayans? Do you guys remember all of these people were on Saturday Night Live for a season? Denitra Vance, Terry Sweeney. Terry Sweeney was the first openly gay person on American television. Terry Sweeney. It's the weirdest season. So those are the 4 episodes. And I got to be honest with you. I mean, I enjoyed it. But I mean, I need more information. I need more of a docu type look at how all of it, instead of just, I didn't need an entire season or an entire episode about season 11. It was a terrible season of Saturday Night Live and everybody seems to have forgotten it. Why did you carve out one entire episode dedicated to rehashing that season? Why did you carve out an entire? Here's what I think happened. I think that they just got bored. I think that they said, we can turn this into, it should have been just a 2-hour documentary. Would have been a great 2-hour documentary, but they're like, let's turn it into 4 episodes, call it a docu-series. It's dumb. Anyway, make up your own mind. It's available on Peacock. Oh, by the way, I need to mention Peacock. I might be watching Peacock again. My problem with watching Peacock or shows on Peacock was that they do commercials. I'm like, I don't do commercials anymore. I don't know if you know, it's 2025. I do not do commercials. I'll do maybe 15 seconds worth of a commercial, but then as soon as I'm afforded the opportunity, I am hitting click, bloop, skip. So I don't do commercials. So I don't watch a lot of Peacock because Peacock holds you hostage with commercials. But Peacock seems to be doing something a little bit different now, which I like. And this is how we do business. You know what I say? 15% on the right, nuts. 15% on the left, nuts. 30% of the country, we can't do business with. We can do business with Peacock. We're negotiating here, so I don't want to be interrupted while I'm watching something with a commercial. But Peacock is doing this now. If you want to make me watch 300 seconds of commercials before the movie, I'll do that. That's fair. That's totally fair, Peacock. That way you can say to the advertisers that you had eyeballs on the ad. And I know that all these ads are coming before the film, so I can like go take a shower or something, you know, and then I'll get out and the last ad is ending. And I'm like, all right, here we go. So I like that. Peacock's doing that now with movies. So I might actually be a, look at me. I might actually be a Peacock guy. All right. Hi, Al. Peter says, blasphemous for them not to spend any time on the pioneers of SNL. I know, it really was. Absolutely. But again, that's a decision. It's a marketing play. So that's why I was kind of like snooty about the idea of this docuseries, because I go, oh, this just looks like they're trying to, you know, it's another piece of propaganda, which is going to make sure that we all tune into NBC for the live Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary. So, you know, like almost like, remember with DVDs, DVD extras, and it was always like garbage. A DVD extra documentary about the behind this, and it's garbage. It's like, there's nothing interesting here. That's kind of what I thought it was. And for a very large portion of it, it was. At least 50% of the SNL series is unnecessary. But I will tell you, episode 2, if you love Saturday Night Live and have always wondered, how do they do that? Episode 2 is fantastic. One of the best things that I've seen on television in a very long time. They take you through step by step how that show is produced. And if you're a dork like me, that's really interesting. Really interesting. I think we're good. Huh? Are you guys good? I'm good. Looking at a live shot of the Atlanta airport. So there's a lot of snow on the ground. The South got hammered. Where is this? Baton Rouge, Louisiana. From above, it's all white. It's all it's snow. I mean, snow. Let's not go there. Hey, if you do want to help support this kind of talk radio, you can drop a little something. That'd be great. Help us out. Got to go grocery shop. Got no food. Drop a little something. This show exists 3 years now, every day, Monday through Friday, around about noon. 3 years now we exist because you people tip us enough monthly for us to be able to make this thing go. Help us out if you can. I'll be back tomorrow. Will you? That's the question. I will. I got nowhere else to go. Will you? Love you. Bye.